Yesterday, the CEO of NVIDIA, the most valuable company on the planet, posted on X for the first time in his life. And it wasn't about NVIDIA stock. It wasn't about a new chip. It was a warning about who is going to control AI. Even my guy Elon Musk quote tweeted it and said Jensen was right. 35 companies signed the letter behind it. IBM, Andreessen Horowitz, GitHub, Cisco, even OpenAI was plugged into it. But here's the part that nobody is talking about. Two names are missing from that list: Anthropic and Google. The companies behind Claude and Gemini didn't sign. I'll be transparent. I'm a daily driver of both Copilot and Gemini, and I had to make this video to help you understand what's going on and what it means for you and your families. Before we get into it, quick thing about me, because it matters for what I'm about to tell you. I've been on the Copilot and M365 product team for what will soon be a decade. And I've also had the privilege to help some of the biggest companies in the world realize value from their Copilot investments. Between Copilot, GitHub Copilot CLI, Lovable, Codex, and Claude Code, and basically every other major AI tool out there, I personally put in thousands of hours actually using this stuff. So when I break down where this stuff is going, I'm not guessing from the outside. I've been inside it. I've been in the mix. Now look, if you're happy paying $20 a month forever and letting somebody else set the rules for intelligence in your home, literally, you can click off this video right now. It's not for you. But if you want to know why the biggest names in tech just split into two camps and which camp decides how you get paid and use AI for the next decade, stick around. Quick housekeeping. I do work at Microsoft, and these are my personal views based on public information. I do not speak for the company. Okay, so about 2 weeks ago, maybe it was a week ago, I ended up making a short talking about a letter that Satya had posted on X, which was talking about how every single company needs to make their own IQ. We have Work IQ at Microsoft. We have Fabric IQ. Satya was saying every company needs their own IQ that can move between different models, right? So when the best Gemini model comes out, you can take your organizational intelligence and port it over to that model, or port it over to Claude, or port it over to the newest OpenAI model. The interesting thing is this: a week or so later, this letter comes out. And the letter is all basically talking about making sure that people can have open access to AI. And I don't think this is a coincidence, right? I think he was setting the stage for what this was. Okay, so here's the one idea you actually need to get for this whole video. And I'm gonna give it to you in 10 seconds. Every single AI tool you've used, ChatGPT, Claude, Copilot, Gemini, you don't own any of it. You're renting it. It's like an apartment. Like, everything works right out of the box, but the problem is the landlord, they set the rent. They set the rules, and the landlord can change the locks whenever they feel like it. Think about what happened with Anthropic a few months ago in the Department of Defense. Anthropic had rules, and that's, in a sense, closed AI. Open weight AI is like owning the actual garage. It's messier. You have to set it up yourself, but nobody can raise your rent, and nobody can lock you out. So when a model is open weight, the actual file, the intelligence itself, can be downloaded, inspected, changed, and run on computers that you control. And I want to be clear, this isn't open good, close bad. For everyday stuff, renting is genuinely easier. And it's probably what I'm going to recommend for the near term for most people, right? I am literally telling you that I use Gemini daily. I use Copilot daily. I love the AI apartments that exist. The real question, the one this entire fight is about, is control. Who owns the thing that this whole economy is about to run on? Because the money being spent here is genuinely hard to wrap your head around. Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and Meta, just these four companies, are on track to spend $725 billion on infrastructure in 2026. $725 billion on infrastructure in 2026. And that's up 77% from last year. That's bigger than the entire GDP of Switzerland. Nobody spends that kind of money without a plan of who's going to pay it back. Now, I got a spoiler for you. The plan, it's you. So let's break down both camps here, because nobody signs a letter like this out of charity. Everyone's got an angle. And honestly, the angle is where the real story is. So NVIDIA wants open models, and it makes total sense. NVIDIA needs every single company on the planet to embrace AI. The AI will run on GPUs, but whether it's an Anthropic model, a Google model, a Microsoft model, or any other model, every single one of them is going to need hardware. And they're going to need Jensen's hardware. And I'm pretty sure you all understand the Microsoft play here, right? Microsoft is an infrastructure company. They are an enabler. If you want to bring your own model, love it. Come run them on some of the best GPUs on the planet and some of the most mature infrastructure on the planet. If you want to use a model that's not self-hosted. You can do that. The crux of the story is for Microsoft, if it's on Azure, we're going to get paid either way. Palantir and IBM's customers are governments quite often, and they have massive contracts. They don't want any risk with some of those deals being from a singular provider. Enter the Anthropic drama that I'm telling you about. So I was somewhat interested with OpenAI signing it. It seemed like they weren't right on the front line of it, but they were kind of on it. OpenAI's name is OpenAI, but we all know they're like kind of closed AI. But we do know they've been building open weight models. There was the OSS line of models that came out too. So I think they just don't want to get boxed into a certain side of the market. Meanwhile, Anthropic and Google, the two that didn't sign, are the ones with the most to gain if regulators crack down on open models, especially the really strong ones coming out of China right now. And by the way, this letter landed one day after nearly 200 startups sent Washington the exact same message. So here's the part that actually surprised me, and I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. The only reason that I actually saw this is because I actually read into it. Like I tried to throw it into Gemini, but I was like, you know what? Let me read this thing word for word. I'll paraphrase this a little bit, but deep in there, it says something along the lines of, and when we do this open weight model stuff, we can end up with open weight models being used for, think of it like, the high level stuff, summarizing and all that good stuff, while the frontier models can be used for that, frontier pushing work. Think of it as like, solving cancer and all that type of stuff. It sounds good. I think at the same time, they're capacity planning here, right? How can we make sure that we have enough compute available so that when we get really close to some very, very big innovation, how do we make sure that people realize like, look, y'all, you don't need this. You don't need the Fable 5. You don't need the Opus 4.8 for this task. We're using that right now. And I think that's something the world's not ready for, right? Like electricity going out has happened because the grid got constrained. What happens when like every single developer loses access to GPT-6 because USA is cooking on some drug that we can send to the whole world? I mean, okay, and when you think about this, right? And basically my TEDx was about that, right? If we don't inspire the world to build AI in the right way for the good problems, for the frontier problems, then the only problems that AI will be spent on will be military. And I don't have the data, but I don't think military is underspending on AI right now. Let me know in the comments if you think differently. So to keep this fair, because I promised you the real picture, not just my side, once the weights are released, that's going to be permanent. You can't like unrelease a file from millions of computers. Bad actors are probably going to strip the guardrails off immediately. Closed model people are going to say, lock it down. We can monitor and patch something fast when we see some weird stuff happening. Open source model people are going to say almost the exact opposite. They're going to say transparency is the security because thousands of independent people are going to be finding all these flaws and looking into the code base, and that's going to be even better than any one team. The reality is this: both sides do have a point. The actual question is who is going to get control? Where does accountability actually lie? And who's going to get left out? Because somebody is going to get left out. Okay, so I have to get serious here. And this is why this matters to you. Personally, it's not just like some tech news that I'm bringing to you today. If your entire AI edge today is that you're very good at ChatGPT, you're very good at prompting and all that good stuff, the news flash is that so is every single other person in your industry. There's probably a company building right now some of your tools and chops into an actual agent. So if you're using the same tool and the same output, your edge is going to go basically to zero. But when companies can use their own AI instead of renting it, a whole new job is going to show up. There's going to be someone who's actually got to build the private assistant that's trained on the company's files. There's going to be someone that has to design the automation that runs for pennies on the open source model instead of paying the per token toll forever to OpenAI and Anthropic. Someone's going to have to look at a very slow, expensive process and say, we might be able to run this ourselves for 1/10 of the cost. That person is going to be the most important and valuable person in the room for the next 5 years. I want you, my viewers, to be that person. This is the cool thing. The data is already backing this up. PwC's 2026 AI Jobs Barometer found that workers with AI skills are earning a 62% wage premium over people without them. 62%. 2 years ago, that number was 25. Other good news is that it's gone up every single year since they've measured it. And jobs requiring AI skills are growing 8 times faster than the rest of the job market. So if you take one thing away from this video, take this. Stop just renting AI skills. Start owning them. Being good at one company's chatbot, that's renting. Understanding how models actually connect to data. Understanding what an open and closed model really means, and understanding how you and your organization can fit both into your lanes, that's going to be critical. If you're non-technical, Your job is finding problems, not hosting models. You get obsessed with where your team's actually losing hours. If you run a business, make a list. What are we renting versus what would we actually want to own in 5 years? And go test one open model next to your paid tools. If you're technical, you already know this is your moment. You probably feel like you have a rocket ship on your back. The work for you to do is to start figuring out how you can pull out some of the required infrastructure in your stack to make sure if one of these model providers, let's say 10x their prices, you have a way out. Or rather, you have an open source model that you run locally that you can use for some of your lighter workloads. And for your own frontier problems, you're using some of those other things as well. Now, let's be honest. With $725 billion of infrastructure coming online, the skills are about to be in brutal demand. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not telling anybody on this video to quit your job because Jensen said that open weight models are the future. So here's my actual read on this whole thing. Phase 1 of AI was who's got the smartest chatbot. Phase 2, the one that Jensen just kicked off, is who controls the thing that everybody is building on top of. And the reason his very first post was about this, instead of his own multi-trillion-dollar company, is that the next real fight in tech comes down to one question. Who gets to build with intelligence and who has to rent it? So here's what I actually want to know from you all. And I read every single one of these. Is your company all in on renting ChatGPT, Copilot, and the usual? Or has anyone even mentioned running a model or two in-house? Drop it in the comments. So if you like this content, if you felt like it was a better way to digest some of this news, please don't hesitate to subscribe. Also, I would appreciate a like if you can. The channel's new, and I'm trying to get a very good perspective on what are the things that the algorithm's looking for. This is Wadude AI. I appreciate you all taking the time to watch, and don't hesitate to tune in for the next one. See ya.